Hello everyone.
Hello. Which state or territory is the best and worst in Australia? Now, I'm sure that it depends on what we're looking for, right? Are we talking the best economy? Are we talking the best quality of life? Are we talking about the best for tourists to visit? It really depends what the factor is going to be. And we know that this channel from here to there like to state economic facts and a little bit of data because on our other channel we reacted to the best and worst country in Europe. And the number one was Iceland. Number three was Ireland, so there was a lot of controversy regarding like the ranking. So I expect this list again to be quite controversial. I saw a video of a guy. I will show you actually.
He's Darwin, bro.
This video right there, right?
What the fuck is Darwin, lad? I don't even know how to put
That
it
guy
into
was-
words, but...
Trying to figure out what was Darwin, and he was
There you go.
getting like,
Have a good day, Merry...
there was homeless people going to him
Hello.
that were high on I don't know what.
Homeless had a
A white
phone.
woman that had headphones on.
Yeah, it was in Darwin.
And she was going up and just like...
And
"Get out
that
of
guy
here."
was getting followed, and the street were like deserted.
Oh, there's a bus stop down here. Look,
So I was like, okay, maybe I don't know what's going on with Darwin. I always thought that Darwin was like a place like Charles Darwin, right? A place that had a lot of like nice animal and the wildlife. And when I look at that, look at like a desert town, and that guy was going off. I think he's Australian. He has a very thick accent. Was going off on like the Australian ghetto in Darwin, and I was like, okay, maybe the worst place is gonna be Darwin. I'm not sure, but anyway,
Understand?
yeah.
Seems like you love when
This is
when
a little
he speaks.
dingo. Eh? Ruby. She bark. I know in Australia your dingo don't bark, but this one bark. Huh?
So she's not a dingo.
We have 12 dogs, yes.
Do you love to curse, enjoy large empty swaths of extremely hot desert, and want to increase your risk of skin cancer? Well, then you might be a
wow.
feral camel, in which case you're likely already
Oh,
in
they have
Australia.
camels.
And if you're not, why haven't you moved here? With gorgeous beaches, incredible cities, great healthcare and education, and some of the most unique ecosystems and wildlife not found
Yes.
anywhere else on Earth, the land down under is one of the
The
best.
more I react to Australia, the more I'm like, wait, Thailand have a lot in common. Thailand temperature is insanely hot. The wildlife is insanely crazy. But of course, when it comes to like healthcare or salaries, the salaries in Australia, people told us in the comment, below $25 per hour, you don't even get out of bed. Even if you work at like a McDonald's or the worst job, you're gonna make at least like $25 an hour. It's crazy. It's like double what people make in Canada for the minimum salary.
An hour.
Yeah.
Not a day for us.
No, it's less than that for a day
Yes.
in Thailand. Less than what they make in an hour.
Countries to live in. But while this giant island continent country, Continentry, is around the same size as the contiguous United States, it has
that.
just 1/13 the population. And over half of the 25.9 million Australians reside in just 3 cities. But doesn't Australia have like 6 states and 2 major territories? Why don't people spread out more? Well, Mr. Camel, because most of the country gets so hot that you'll end up looking like this guy if you spend 5 minutes
Yeah.
outside. So
That's
in
the desert, right? Every time that we watch like Australian kind of movie, an horror movie,
Yeah.
they are in the wild back, they are in the middle of nowhere where there's like no gas station for like 50, 100 kilometers.
Like-
And there's always a woman running for her life getting chased by some
Yeah.
cannibal monster thing. Like, I'm like, is it really in Australia? Do you have people like this? Like crazy?
Yeah, and then like when you need to like go through that road, what are you gonna do? Thing like that. Like you need to have a lot of gas,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
like extra.
Or one of the 1 million feral camels that call the outback home, you'll probably want to stick with 85% of Australians who live within 50 kilometers of the coast. Doesn't like every state touch the ocean though? How do I know which is best? Find out as we rank all 8 Australian states and territories
Okay.
from worst to best. And let's hit 5,000 likes for a video on the 10 best cities in Australia. Number 8. Actually, we're going to start off with a quick honorable mention. The external territories. That's right, Norfolk
whoa.
Island, quick honorable
External?
mention.
Christmas Island. I've seen that in the game GeoGuessr. They show the Christmas Island. Oh my god. Norfolk Island, Coral Sea Island. Christmas Island is part of Australia. Nice.
External territories. That's right, Norfolk Island, Christmas Island, the Cocos Islands, and a few other islands that no one lives on. I didn't forget about you. Now don't get me wrong. These aren't terrible places to live and are breathtaking with plenty of endemic species and extravagant
Hey, hey.
landscapes.
Honestly, this is the kind of place that I would like to live. I think you agree, right? On those remote island? No?
I
No?
No, I'm scared of snake.
Oh, come on. Those places are nice. The only problem maybe is electricity, but I like those remote places. You can do whatever. You can
No,
like,
guy,
run
don't trust
naked.
him. Don't trust him. Don't trust him. It's gonna be me that need to build a house and everything, and then he cannot do anything. So don't trust him.
Suji's the man in the relationship. You won't believe it's so sexy when Suji's outside working with her hands.
Shut up!
No, I will show you guys a video soon. Suji is doing everything outside. She's like, in the old time, the housewife that work outside.
Housewife, that racist.
No, it's just a joke. Okay.
Christmas Island's nickname is actually Australia's Galapagos due to its unique red crabs, booby birds, flying foxes, and hundreds of other animals and fauna found throughout the
Nice.
tropical jungle and surrounding coral reef. And the largest and most inhabitable of these islands, Norfolk Island, is home to the tallest pine trees in the world,
See?
beautiful beaches and
Why you
rolling
don't want to go
pastures,
there?
and some of the rarest birds. If you don't mind a very slow-paced lifestyle
So
with
good,
few modern
actually.
conveniences,
See?
and
Their
most
house.
things being more expensive as they have to be shipped in, the external territories...
Yeah, that's the thing, right? The food is probably very expensive.
Yeah.
In Canada, when you go very north, like in the Northern Territory, things are so much more expensive because it's very cold and people import their stuff. So a lot of
Yeah.
people there they need to like find their own food by themselves.
Like when you go
know?
up the mountain or
Yeah.
like when you go, cross to the island, the price will be up.
Yeah, so maybe the cost of living is not that great. I mean, I don't know, but I feel like it's good.
might seem like paradise. But considering they all have a combined population of only around 5,000, the extremely isolated lifestyle isn't for most.
Remote.
Actual number 8, Northern Territory.
Northern
If you're
Territory.
strictly looking to rake in the dough and don't mind the lack of infrastructure or seclusion from the rest of the country, the Northern Territory might be for you. The median household income is the third highest of any state or territory at 115 grand, and the median home value
Wait, what?
is the third highest of any state. The Northern Territory might be for you. The median household income is the
Household, so both parent together. Okay,
third highest of any state or territory at 115 grand.
so it's $50,000 per parent. That's a lot for medium income. It's higher than Canada, and I think it's higher than the US. Honestly, it's good 57,000. It's like 1.5 million baht if you per year.
Value is the lowest at just 515 grand. Plus, there's no property tax. But remember how I said a lot of Australia
No property
is
tax.
uninhabitable? Well, a huge chunk of the most uninhabitable land is here. The southern half of the territory has a climate similar to the Sahara Desert, and while Darwin and the coast is a bit more livable with tons of rainfall during the wet season,
it's where
it
Darwin
also
lives,
gets
just saw the
very hot
video.
and humid, and that rain often turns into cyclones and extreme flooding.
So the climate is
despite
crazy.
accounting for
Extreme
17.5% of the country's landmass, less than 250,000 residents, or 1% of Australia, actually lives in the NT. And it's the only state or territory which had a net population decrease over the past year. But the lack of people is also why many love living here. From Litchfield and Kakadu to Uluru and Watarka National Parks, the territory is home to so much stunning wide open wilderness that you can experience
So for tourists, it might not be the worst. I don't know what you guys think, but when I think of Darwin and those area, I think of all the wildlife that is there.
all to yourself. Although you might not want to be too alone, because not only does the Northern Territory have the most saltwater crocodiles in Australia, it's also by far the most dangerous state or territory, with a violent crime rate 323% above the national average.
Okay.
Number 7, South Australia.
South-
While the Northern Territory is home to some of the highest wages in the nation, South Australia has the second lowest median household income at just $98,500, and the
Come on, 98,000. It's still 49,000 per person. It's not that much different from the one we saw in Darwin at like 57. It's everywhere. It's kind of close, very close. I thought it was gonna be a lot lower. It's not. It's not low at all.
employment
But yeah,
rate
look
at
cooler.
4.4%.
Hey.
But if you're someone
4.4% unemployment rate. It's good. I don't know what it's not bad. 4.4% unemployment rate.
who prefers the simple life and community over vibrancy and wealth, the Festival State is a wonderful place to settle down. It's home to so many charming suburbs and beach
Wow,
towns,
look
over
at the
5,000 kilometers of pristine coastline, the best wine in the country,
Woo.
and hardly any crime. And with below
Wow.
average
And honestly, did you notice something?
coastline, the best
What did you
wine
notice?
in the country, and
Agri-
It's clean.
agriculture.
It seemed quite clean. Like it's neat. It's clean.
And
hardly
it
any
look
crime.
cool.
And with below average
Yeah, not
fuel,
that hot,
grocery,
right?
and
But
utility
maybe it's not
costs,
the
and a
summer,
median
but-
home value of just 565 grand, South Australia is actually the cheapest state. And
Nice.
Adelaide is the cheapest capital.
Adelaide.
Sure, Adelaide's also likely
And
the
the
most
infrastructure look quite ancient and quite nice.
This
Almost
state.
medieval
And
at some
Adelaide
point,
is
some
the
part.
cheapest.
Like,
It's
look at
really
this.
clean.
Yeah.
Like a lot of space to.
And I love those buildings. It's quite
this capital.
ancient.
Sure,
It almost look European. in a
Adelaide's
way.
also likely the most boring city with over 1 million residents and a bit behind the times with supermarkets still closing at 5 p.m. on weekends, for example. But that's also by design.
Ooh,
Adelaiders
nice.
love that their home offers all of the amenities of a city with great food, museums, parks, festivals, and a few unique attractions like the Adelaide Central Market while still maintaining its small town charm with hardly any
I
traffic.
like it because what I don't like Bangkok. I don't like capital because usually the capital of most countries where you're going to have like traffic, pollution, loud noise. This one is a good balance because it's calm, but you still have like access to a lot of good food and a lot of nice activity without it being like crazy in your head with a lot of noise coming from everywhere. So it's like a balance between the countryside and the major cosmopolitan city.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's so good
and where
to me.
everyone knows everyone. Not to mention, it's easy to navigate with no toll roads and a beautiful beach or waterfall hike being just a 20-minute drive from the city center.
Whoa.
Number 6. Queensland. Queensland is Australia's most popular holiday destination, and for good reason. It's incredibly safe, has the most national parks, and with scenery as diverse as the Great Barrier Reef, Daintree Rainforest, Porcupine
Wow.
Gorge, and Lamington,
Okay, for
Girrawin,
tourists, it's
Garingan,
nice.
under a volcanic Blackdown Tablelands, and Great Sandy National Parks, not to mention the only Everglades ecosystem outside of Florida. It's debatably the most
Oh,
beautiful
every time that I think of Everglade, I think of crocodile. Like,
Yeah, look.
Yeah,
I don't really like. I mean, it's really important to all the water, all the thing, but it's
Yeah, the
really
ecosystem,
good.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good for
but it's
something.
You're right.
the only Everglades ecosystem outside of Florida. It's debatably the most beautiful state. And if you prefer a more chill vacation,
Why it's
the
number
Sunshine
6
State
then?
also offers plenty of theme parks and resorts in the Gold Coast
Oh,
and over
nice.
13,000 kilometers of
Wow.
jaw-dropping beaches. So while many used to only holiday here, that's quickly changing as more people learn of Queensland's exceptional small cities and towns. In fact, it's now the fastest growing state and one of only 2 states where over half the population doesn't live in the capital. And it's not because Brisbane
Nice.
sucks. It's actually often ranked as the most livable city in Australia, as it's not nearly as congested or
So why it's number 6 then? He just said good things so far.
expensive as Sydney or Melbourne,
Ah,
while
maybe
still
the-
offering legit
the
big
ranking,
city
the number
amenities
6
and
is the best.
experiencing
No,
rapid
but
growth.
it's number 6 and number 1 is going to be the best. But
Ah.
why it's
Especially
number
with the Olympics coming in 2032.
Oh,
While
yeah, the Olympics
Queensland's
coming there.
economy is the second fastest growing of any state, it still has some catching up to do with the third lowest median household income of just $105,000. Because of the
What do you mean 105? We just said that it's all between 95 and 120. It's a few $1,000 but like it would be top 3 with like 10,000 more. It's not a big deal.
and the fact that
Oh
the
my
housing
God.
market is booming with a median home cost of 788
It's so
grand.
pretty.
The Sunshine State has the highest poverty rate at 13.5%.
It's so
Number
relative.
5.
It's always relative of the cost of living and where you are. It's so relative, you know.
Tasmania.
Of course.
Tasmania
Tasmania.
feels nothing like the rest of Australia.
Tasmania.
And that's because
It's
it
an
isn't.
island.
An island located around 200 kilometers south of the mainland.
Yeah.
The smallest state by both size and population is home to so many otherworldly and unique landscapes and species not found anywhere else. Not to
Wow.
mention, it rarely ever gets hot and has the cleanest
Oh.
air on
Yay!
Well, that means
It's
it gets
ne-
cold or
It never get too hot. You know, I left Canada because I hated the winter. It was too cold. Then I came to Thailand, and there's 2 seasons in Thailand. Hot, hotter. Like there's a raining season and a dry season, but both seasons are so hot. And now Tasmania. Ooh, because in Thailand you cannot go anywhere where it's gonna be like
let's go.
decent. Tasmania? The devil of Tasmania. Let's go to Tasmania.
anywhere else. Not to mention, it rarely ever gets hot and
Damn,
has
the
the
beach.
cleanest air
So
on
white.
Earth. But
Oh.
not only is Tasmania
The cleanest air
Air.
on earth. Yeah, we saw it in another video.
Oh my God, that's gonna be higher.
That's one of my critiques
cause
with
of
Thailand.
the-
The air is terrible, and one of the reason, you know, you have a rain fire. How do we call the fire in the forest? When the forest burn, you have a lot of that in Australia. And in Thailand, it's the burn of the crops, and it pollute the air like crazy.
Hey,
It's one of the problem with Thailand.
film it the other day close to our house. It's like the roads collapse because they're burning the sugar cane. It's illegal, you know.
Yeah, but everyone does it. It's good to know. I think good air quality is something that I have not seen for 10 years, you know.
Tasmania, an adventurous paradise with places like Cradle Mountain, Mount Field, and the Bay of Fires all being a short drive from pretty much anywhere on the island.
Bay of
It's also
Fire.
home to so many delightful small towns with some of the friendliest people
Look
you
again.
will. And it's also home to so many
Look,
delightful
it looked like a castle. It looked
Small
like
town.
It's almost like European style again. Those buildings are nice.
of its weight with tons of history and beautiful architecture, great restaurants, bars, and cafes, and Mona, one of the best museums in the country.
Mona.
Sure, there's little in terms of bustling city life, but if you're looking to slow down and
Nice.
relax while being surrounded by unspoiled nature, Tasmania is perfect. Well, if you're retired or work online, because while the economy is currently the fastest growing, the median household income is still the lowest at just $89,600.
Tasmania.
89,000, it's still 45,000 per person, guys. Come on.
And the unemployment rate is 4.3%.
That's
At least the
nothing.
cost of living isn't too bad.
I'm
With a
going-
median home price of
See, the cost of
691
living is not
grand,
too
plenty
bad.
of cheap high quality produce, and low energy bills due to most of the island
See?
running on hydroelectricity.
What can I
Number
do there?
4, New South Wales. Australia's oldest and most populated state. Home to Sydney, the most populated city. But while Sydney's big city
Whoa,
amenity
nice.
state. Home to Sydney, the most popular.
Whoa. Look at all
Even
the...
on the
No, but
ocean is
you have
busy.
You have boat. You have so many different type of like boat and transportation.
Populated
at
city.
in the
But
same
while
video.
Sydney's big city
The same
amenities,
picture.
multiculturalism, high quality of life, and beautiful beaches and harbors speak for themselves,
Whoa.
this great state is so much more than just its capital. New South Wales spans over 800,000 square kilometers and is packed with 18 diverse bioregions ranging from sandy deserts to lush
Wow.
rainforests,
Wow.
rugged mountains, rolling
Oh,
hills,
the
grasslands,
snow.
rivers, and coasts.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
did you know this, and this are all within a 2-hour drive of Sydney? And if
Whoa.
both big city life and serene scenery aren't your jam, there's also no shortage of incredible mountain or beach towns, as well as one of the best small cities in Newcastle. As a whole, New South Wales is likely the most balanced province and truly offers something for every type of lifestyle. Then why the heck is it only number 4? Well, because it's bloody expensive, with the highest median home cost of $1.22 million.
1.2 million.
Now, to be fair, Sydney does have an excellent and diverse economy, so wages across the state aren't bad, with a median household income of 114 grand and the lowest unemployment rate of just 2.9%.
2.9
But
is
living in
so
Sydney
low.
also means terrible traffic, everywhere being crowded, and
Yeah,
some
see
of
that
the
what I said earlier about Bangkok. These kind of places are not for me because I like when I can have my peace and quietness. Especially now we have 12 dogs, so.
worst nightlife for a major city. Number 3, the Australian Capital Territory. Covering less than
Canberra.
2,400 square kilometers and consisting of just Canberra,
Oh,
its
only
suburbs, and
500,000
Namadgi
people.
National Park, it's no surprise that many Australians never even think of visiting the place. And that's honestly a shame, because sure, Canberra isn't exactly the most exciting city, seeing as it was entirely planned with the sole purpose of serving as Australia's capital, but it's still one of the most livable cities in the world. With the second lowest crime and unemployment rate in the country, the highest median household income at 150 grand, and by far the lowest poverty
Wait,
rate of
what?
the highest median household income at 150 grand.
150, it's 75,000 per
people.
person. It's like more than 2 million.
And by
That's
far the lowest
crazy.
poverty rate of just 5.4%, Canberrans have very little to worry about. Especially since they're close to so many gorgeous mountains with the beautiful Molonglo River running right through town. But while the ACT checks all the statistical boxes, a lot of the city just feels empty with nothing to do if you don't know any locals. The CBD is mostly fields, office buildings, and roundabouts, and while there are walkable areas with shops and restaurants, such as Braddon, Canberra feels a lot more like a collection of spread out suburbs with a few town centers than an actual city. Although, since it is the capital, there are a ton of excellent museums, galleries, and gardens. But a fair warning, Canberra is one of the few Australian cities which gets a true 4 seasons, meaning the winters actually get cold. Number 2. Victoria. When you think of Victoria, you probably only think of Melbourne, aka the true cultural capital of Australia with the best coffee on earth. Seriously, prove me wrong. But while it's nearly impossible
Come try authentic Thai coffee.
Possible to get bored in Melbourne with its outstanding music and art scene and so many bustling alleyways filled with trendy bars, restaurants, clubs, and cafes. The Garden State is also so much more than just a hipster haven. From skiing in Falls Creek to the penguins of Phillip Island to the stunning ridges of Grampians National Park and cascading waterfalls and rainforests of Yarra Ranges and Otway National Parks, Victoria may only account for 3% of Australia's landmass, but there is no shortage of sensational scenery. Not to mention, it's by far the safest state and home to the Great Ocean Road, the most beautiful drive in the country. But 75% of Victoria does live in Melbourne for a reason. With a stellar job market, world-renowned universities, tons of history, a hip and accepting culture, an excellent public transit, nightlife, and infrastructure, it makes sense that Victoria's capital is growing faster.
See, it's a little too, like, there's too many high building and stuff like that. That reminds me of a capital. Like, that reminds me of, like, a capital where there's too much noise and too much everything. I don't know, maybe
in Sydney, and will likely eclipse its population by 2050. Especially since it's cheaper. Although it is still pretty darn expensive, with the statewide median home price being $966,000. Oh, and did I mention that Melbourne can get 4 seasons in 1 hour? Yeah. One time the temperature dropped 10 degrees Celsius in 3 minutes. Now before we get to number 1, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and let me know what you think the best state or territory is, and why. But without further ado... Number 1, Western Australia.
Oh, Perth.
Bigger doesn't always mean
It's
better.
fun because Perth is the cheapest city to go from Thailand, probably because it's the closest to Thailand. If you want to take plane ticket to go Australia from Thailand, it's the cheapest place to go is Perth.
Perth.
So probably if you go to Australia in the future, Perth is going to be the place that we go around that area.
What that Perth mean?
Do you mean the word Perth? I don't know.
But Australia's largest state by total area, accounting for nearly 1/3 of the country, is also the best. Surrounded by 21,000 square kilometers of captivating coast, Western Australia is home to so much enchanting, untouched wilderness. But the best thing about living
Did
here
people
is
told us why the water is
to
pink,
so much
or...
enchanting.
Kirby.
Oh, it's because of the... It's a plant, I think. Was it some kind of plant? Some kind of some kind of thing in the water? Some kind of plant, is it?
Untouched wilderness. But the best thing about living here is that it's still incredibly affordable with a median home value of just $630,000 while also having the second highest median household income of $116,000. Now this is mainly due to an abundance of mining jobs, which aren't necessarily the most stable. But Perth's job market is growing and diversifying too.
Look
aren't
at that
necessarily the most stable. But Perth's job market is growing and diversifying too. And speaking of Perth, it's likely the most underrated capital with a hip music and art scene in Fremantle, excellent suburbs and beaches, solid public transit, above average nightlife and restaurants, and a relaxed, stress-free
But I'm a
life.
bit afraid because it reminds me of the Melbourne where it is a lot of tall buildings, remind me of a capital, and maybe it's too busy.
But I mean, it looks so unreal. Look from this picture.
Yeah, it looked interesting. It looked like almost like a resort town or something from that
public transit, above average nightlife and restaurants, and a relaxed, stress-free lifestyle. Outside of the state's extreme life and restaurants, and a relaxed, stress-free lifestyle. Outside of the state's extreme isolation, with Perth actually being the most isolated big city in the world, there's just not much wrong with Western Australia. And that's why it's our best place to live in this fine country.
Isolated.